My neck to my wrist, I see you watching my bling. Detroit City mind, dog, you know the king. Never flop when I drop, my flow gon' stay hot. Come on.
Only out for the better. G's the favorite letter, money getter. Slip my weather, hard time forgetter. Let's get the stash together, make it last forever. Working fast for cheddar, getting cash forever.
(1996). Somebody shoots a former Detroit police officer multiple times in his head and face. His name was Rico Slick Darbins, and when his body was found dumped in a Detroit alley several days later, the government had no clue who did it. Darbins was himself suspected in the attempted murder of an informant in a pending drug case against him, and word on the street was that Darbins' partner, a man named T. Stucky, had killed him to prevent Darbins from informing on Stucky's cocaine business. But the story of T. Stucky didn't begin or end with the murder of Rico Darbins. There was a lot more to it than that. To understand how T. Stucky saw his dream of building a music label called Motor City Records turn into the nightmare of life in prison, you have to start back where he grew up at in Detroit, on Puritan Avenue.
We ain't grow up like the guys growing up today. We grew up with principles and people, telling us what to do and what not to do.
A lot of money was still going with the plants. Actually, my mom worked at the plant, my uncle. It still had the mother, fathers in the homes. A lot of the older folks on the block even owned businesses still back then.
78, 79, 80, this whole entire neighborhood, all of Puritan, was flourished with businesses, everything.
But in the late 1970s, a mini riot hit the neighborhood, and after that, it was all downhill.
Detroit, already in the grips of a devastating economic recession, was ripe for violence. Unemployment approaches 25%, more than 125,000 workers.
And ripping off the area between 7 Mile and St. Martin's, for instance, on Livernois and other areas.
Sammy Moore operates a small antique and hardware shop in the area. He fell victim to looters who caused more than $2,000 in damage.
Because I took pride in the way the things were kept. But how are you going to have pride in something like this?
Everything has changed from now to where when I came home, it looked like a bomb that hit this entire neighborhood.
Neighborhood changed because of drugs, man. They looking up to the drug dealers and things like that. They see that this was making money and stuff like that. They want to do the same thing. They ain't going to school.
They used to take over this playground back then, and we couldn't even come out here no more when I was growing up. Like, I was so anti-drugs, like, yo, y'all doing that, and I fell victim to it, because I wanted to have my keyboard, my turntables, and go to some of the concerts. So I'm not an angel, you know what I mean?
Not my mother, but I'm seeing my friends' mothers is being drunks and, not my crackheads and stuff like that. It's the upkeeping of that. If they can't keep themselves up, they ain't gonna be able to keep the neighborhood up.
By the mid-1980s, the only thing thriving on Puritan Ave was drugs and violence.
Took a bad turn. I thought that was the life. Ended up in prison with triple life. I was wild like the rest of them that was around this neighborhood. And every time I seen the parole board, they was telling me, what the fuck is you doing sitting up in here? And I cuss them back out. Why is you coming up here? We not finna sign that. You done killed people and you done stabbed people all through prison. And then I end up running into T. Found out T. Stucky was off Puritan, so all us used to hang together. And you got a bunch of youth together while doing criminal things, so the prison was off the chain. T always stayed to himself. He hung with us, or he'll wait, we'll go work out together, or he'll sit in the yard. I done seen him choke guys out before, but that's because they was messing with him. I was walking one day, had a guy on the basketball court choking him, trying to choke the life out of him. I walked past and let him go, T. Let that boy go.
And I seen how to respond, that all the prisoners responded to him. I was like, man, I want people to respond to me like that. So I learned how to rap. Then when I came home, that made me want to form my own record company.
But he had caught his little first case, and he had beat that or whatever, got out on appeal. But you know, growing up where we at, there's a lot of guys in jail, so really didn't ask, like, where you been? So it just, you continue where you left off at, whether it was 2, 3 years or 10 years.
While Stucky was away in prison, his childhood friend AK from Puritan Avenue was making a name for himself in the hip-hop industry, releasing a single that eventually charted on the Billboard Hot 100.
Strong songs. It's AK and the Flow. Step Up Thickness. Box Selection 154. Props go to FM 98 WJLB Strong.
As I got so much hype on it, I said I gotta shoot a video for it.
AK and the Flow. Step Up Thickness. Box Selection 154.
So when I shot the video for it, I got distribution for the record, so this record is taking off. So now I'm seeing little checks for the video being played, radio. Everybody's there, you know what I mean? Puff and Big's there, Craig Mack's there, Brian McKnight. Jay-Z's there. I think he did a song with original flavor. And he actually opened up the show for me at that point, So my local success is bubbling now. Stucky sees the video, he's like, yo, that's AK, you know what I mean? So he come pick me up one day, whip up. He owned a record store at the time. So we down there going back and forth. He looking at the video. I want to do that. I want to do one of them, man. Let's work.
T was working with him, and AK produced just about everything. It was almost a daily basis of AK doing tracks.
That was really how me and Stuck reconnected and got back into the music.
Because when he got out of jail, man, he could have did anything, but he put his mind to what he wanted to do. Uplift the hood and get us about this bullshit, you know what I mean?
Basically, everybody who was around T in the studio, they all clicked together. We all started clicking together because we had one thing on the mind, which was music, and T made sure that it was music, and music only.
To build Motor City Records, Stucky recruited some of the best rappers and musicians from the local scene.
This is my grandfather. About 3 years old, you know what I'm saying? Me and him used to have matching outfits, I'd be up at Phelps Lounge, he'd bring me out, we do a set together.
Motzi Ski was part of the legendary group Detroit's Most Wanted, who'd had a brush with national fame in the early 90s, and along with Stucky, Motzi, Big Dog, and Proof formed the group The Forefathers.
Touring the country, toured with Run DMC, LL Cool J, Rakim, used to rap with Pox and Cyphers when he was in Digital Underground, you know what I'm saying? I met Stuck, I say around 94, 95. I was walking to my car and he was walking to his car. He was like, mine? And I'm like, yeah. But he Stuck walk up to the car, he knew who I was, you know what I'm saying? He knew about the MW and all that. And I knew about him a little bit, but he didn't go by T Stuck back then. He went by Gangsta T.
So I was throwing parties from the time I was 17 years old, so you seeing niggas on the streets. Cause I was a young nigga getting money, and I looked at this nigga like, man, this nigga getting this money.
He's scared. He's stuck, yeah. Bad thing.
You gotta imagine seeing some guys come up in the club, 13, 14 deep, 3-piece suits, crocodile shoes on. It's gonna bring a lot of attention. It's gonna bring a lot of hate. We're known for being bullies, Puritan. Y'all go to the clubs and y'all fight. Y'all tear the clubs up. Well, here's the thing with that. Here's a guy that owe you a couple of dollars, and you approach him and say, "Hey man, let me get that couple of dollars you owe me." Well, now that he done, became the man in his neighborhood or his block or avenue, whatever, he gets bad. So, guys put in the call, yeah. Here come 30, 40 guys around this dude. It's no different from, the bill collector harassing you. Shit. We just had our own way about doing it.
This nigga had an all orange mink with the mink hat. This is like 93. And I'm like, you go out and see this nigga like.
I've never seen him smoke, never seen him take a drink.
Nigga that don't drink, don't smoke, or nothing, don't got no bad habits. And that's a nigga that you want to follow. You don't want to follow no niggas that got bad habits, because what you gonna be behind?
No, actually, when I heard about him, we was doing a concert, actually, so we was on one of his tickets, and we was singing, and We had our little entourage. Drew Hill had their little entourage. That was when they came out. And basically they had a limo, and I felt my artists need to have a limo. So I called and said, whoever this guy is, you need to tell him he need to get a limo, meaning Stucky. I say, whoever he is, he need to get us a limo, because Drew Hill ain't no more important than we are. So and we got our people, so he need to send us a limo or we ain't gonna be there. So end up a limo came. But I got words from Stuck later on, like, Stuck talk kind of crazy. So Stuck like, who the hell is this nigga right here? So Stuck was like, he didn't know who I was, I didn't know who he was, but I was on some business, he was on business. He got the limo, and from that day, me and Stuck ended up being the best of friends. He ended up being like a big brother to me.
By this time, Stucky had linked up with several of the hottest new talents in Detroit.
Met my nigga Stuck, shit like, I don't know, 95, maybe 96.
You would see Doug carry yourself a certain kind of way, like the people in the industry. And for me to see that in my own city, knowing that I'm moving like that, Proof's moving like that.
Proof is the mayor of hip hop, and goddamn it, Stucky is the president.
When we all got together in the studio, me, Proof, E-Dub, Stucky, so his talent basically was, let me get all y'all in the same room, and that's the type of person he was. Man, if I can get this person together.
Flat the fuck out. That is the beginning of hip hop. You know, they started this, and Stucky started his studio. Proof was there, and they did some things, and like.
But we ran into Proof up there. Me and Stuck would go up there, visit Proof occasionally. Then we kind of brought Proof in, because they had history, because Proof grew up on this block.
Proof grew up on Stokeland, period. A lot of people don't know that. You know what I mean? I kind of get choked up just talking about him, you know what I mean? I was like his big brother, cousin, father, all that. You know, we lived together for like 2 years, you know, like every day.
He didn't help Proof out the way he did and give Proof the exposure that he did. And I don't think that Proof would have made it where he did.
I thought he was totally committed to the music business, and I thought that the music business in Detroit was a fabulous opportunity. And I think a lot of Proof's ability to bring Eminem in was because of his relationship with Stucky. They were identifying and developing rappers, and it just so happens Eminem was one of those rappers that wanted to be part of that development process.
Proof actually took me to see Eminem, and I wanted to be a part of that, but you know, I missed the bus by getting involved in what I got involved in.
I ran into him a few times. I ran into him, and he stood out only because he was white.
Proof brought M to Stuck, you know what I'm saying? Stuck just didn't want to fuck with him, you know what I'm saying? That's just real talk, you know?
But I do know that, you know, it did happen, and Stuck kind of passed on it.
I want you to listen to him, give him a chance, put your hands together for the funky hunky Eminem.
Briggs, he was more of the Motor City sound for what T was trying to do, because he was crazy about the live instruments.
Something like something smooth. He like, yeah, I like that.
The first time I dealt with Stucky in the studio, it was a hell of a learning experience. I didn't know really what I was doing, had a little bit of money. During those days, I just sat back and kind of learned.
I think T's whole thing was he tried to pull everybody together to, you know, to get us out of the city, man, to get us on the map.
He wanted to put a compilation together, wanted to be his first. He didn't want to come out solo.
He had things going on all around the house. He had somebody pressing up CDs upstairs. He had somebody making beats in another room. He had somebody recording downstairs. He had some women up in the living room.
Put the Motor City compilation out. Got even a gospel record. Put a song out from this girl named Annette.
Just as Motor City Records was gaining momentum, Stucky's reputation on the streets was starting to jeopardize his music career.
Like the news got the nigga like, oh, the nigga walk around, look at a nigga, kill a nigga, like he just this monster, like that wakes up looking to shoot a nigga, like I ain't with I ain't with that part of it because I done been around him enough.
It was common, you hear Stuck name and you hear fear in people's hearts, you know, but I don't know where that came from. I know him as, like I say, I know him as like a big brother to me. I love him to death.
I would go to the studios and I would see a lot of guys around there look like they were securing the studio we was in.
He was focused, he was always focused. Him and everybody else around him, everybody focused.
Now, they was inside looking out windows, and I'm looking behind me like, oh, is this all right? I'm hitting notes that's wrong, so I have to end up, man, he would tell me he real smooth.
Man, G, just calm down, man. Everything is okay, man. You go good. Like, I know niggas from that hood, from AK and Rockman and Reg, and them niggas is very territorial as far as outside niggas really becoming part of their circle.
I mean, because we keep it in-house. We don't sell out for no money. We don't give a fuck if you got a bag. You know what I'm saying? We don't give a fuck what you do. You know what I'm saying? We just family. If we broke, we broke. If we rich, we rich. You know what I'm saying? That's just how we keep it. And we ain't about that jumping ship shit. You know what I'm saying? We don't change jerseys, baby. You know what I'm saying? One team for life, baby. You know, you get drafted here, you retire here.
Puritan, growing up on Puritan, they always tried to make us what they wanted us to be, and I'm talking about the law. You know, every neighborhood had some criminals, some crime, had some good, some bad. But I guess by my neighborhood sticking together so much.
The first thing is we ain't no gang. You know, the government try to make us a gang, man. We ain't no gang, man.
We was just family. It was just all friends hanging out. We all had common interests, you know, wanted to holler at some women, you know, get a couple of dollars, whether you had paper routes or sold your little reefer, whatever you did. Me, I DJ parties, but I still rock the same clothes as wherever the hustlers wore.
But it all started with the Detroit police. You know, one particular officer named Michael Jackson. It started off with him. Me and him had a personal thing growing up in the hood, going with each other, and he put the feds on me. He pulled up at my record store one day and said, we couldn't get you speaking on the state, but the feds gonna get you.
Not long after the Detroit police promised to put the feds on him, Stucky started to feel there was even more trouble brewing in his future.
He would call me at night sometime. Hey, G, man, I need you to pray for me, man. I said, what's going on, man? Just pray for me, man. I said, oh, man, I got you, man. We'll start praying on the phone.
A lot of people don't know AK was with me the night I got shot in the head, you know what I mean?
So at that time, it's a guy come walking up Puritan, look like he's coming from the bus stop, you know, this way. So we didn't know, you know, where he was coming from, but it was like 11 o'clock, 11:30 at night. It was kind of strange, so we both stopped like, who the fuck is this nigga? So he looked at me, I look at him, and we just hold up. So we stutter step, He turned right around, and he shoot like 3 times. Bam, 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 bam. So as he shot, he ran this way. When I hear the shots, I'm on the other side of the car. I run the other way, and I'm running to get a few of the homies from the hood, like, yo, Stuck got shot, Stuck got shot.
You know, some good dudes could have came back and got me. AK went and got the troops, and they came back, you know what I mean, the dudes ain't do a double back and get me, and, you know, I'm still here. So I thank AK for that.
He had temporarily lost his sight. I started praying for him right then and then when I got into the house.
He'd been shot. He owned a record store and he'd been shot, and he survived, okay? And after that, his ambition turned to developing a record label and developing this whole group of artists.
I remember I was in Atlanta, about 6 years old. Kay was living there, Proof. They was in the studio and everything, and knocked on the door, walked in. I'm like, yo, I want to get in the booth. You know what I'm saying? The mic like 10 feet tall. I'm like, little bitty kid, you know what I mean? They ain't trying to let me in the studio. But yeah, I'm telling them, like, one day I'm gonna be a star. Yeah, it would have been a normal household. You would have been comfortable as long as you ain't got a line. But you would have been comfortable in the household. Me, my mom's, Kay, Proof, all of us. Yeah, we was like a big happy family. Everything was smooth. Shit, until he came back to the D.
Come to find out, one night I'm hearing, yo, Stuck got shot. yo, he killed somebody, this, that, and the other. I'm like, here go the bullshit again. It's always something.
The intersection of Greenfield and Schoolcraft is where this occurred. There's a gas station on that corner. There were two crime scenes. There was a body in a car in behind a gas station, which was right next to a club. The second scene was north of that gas station on the corner. And then there was an AK-47 that was maybe 50 feet from the corner of the second scene that was on the ground. And Mr. Stucky lay on the ground. He was shot in the back. In this particular case, the witness that I interviewed was Deshaun Holton, also known as Proof, Eminem's sideman. And so he gave me, a statement. But basically what he said was, they were in the music business and they had a company called Motor City Records, and they had a Christmas promotion. And they were passing out flyers. They were passing out this stuff when they came up on the scene of the shooting, the AK shooting. And so they were running, and the AK shooter focused on them. And so Proof handed his gun to Stucky. Proof, after he handed him the gun, Proof ran in the opposite direction. I mean, that was his testimony. He says, hey, I ran that way. And Stucky then, somehow there was some engagement between him and the shooter. The shooter dropped his gun and he jumped into a Mercedes that was speeding away, and Stucky was firing at the Mercedes as it was speeding away. And so the police said that he shot at them with the AK-47. But when I looked at that scene, there were no AK-47 shell casings at that scene. All the shell casings were from pistols. There was no AK shell casing there. So that was the first thing that I started to question. Here these guys are saying he's shooting with an AK-47, and there's no ballistics to corroborate that. The entry wounds were in the back of his leg and the exit wounds are in the front. So it was more consistent with he was running from the police as opposed to standing there shooting at the police.
They was all down at court with his mom and everything. I went down there too, and she said, I want you to come down here and I want you to pray with us. I brought it wasn't this one, I brought my other guitar down there. And we was down there right in front of the courtroom. We was down there, yes, Lord, yes, Lord. We was praying for T. We wanted him to get out.
At trial, Stucky was found not guilty of the murder and shooting at the Detroit police.
The testimony of Proof was more consistent with the physical evidence than the testimony of the police officers.
This is weird, because I remember him getting out. Told me to meet him at Big Dog House off Chicago. And we go over there, and he done lost so much motherfucking weight. You know what I'm saying? From being shot or whatnot. He was on crutches and everything. But he told us like this ain't nothing but stagnation of the process. Everything's still the same. Let me do this, let me do that.
With my co-counsel, we filed a lawsuit based on the disparity, the discrepancies, and the angle of police misconduct, because that's deadly force used, and that could be considered gross negligence. And the lawsuit was mediated for $150,000, and the city, rather than go to trial on it, we settled the case.
So one day, it's another knock at my door. It's Stuck again. He knocking, I'm like, shit. I'm like, ain't nobody here. He's like, open the door, sucker. So I opened the door up. I'm like, what's happening? Then he was like, hey, go to the mall with me. I don't want to be seen in public with your ass, nigga. Shit, everybody trying to kill you. So, it was funny was we went to the mall and he literally had people in the mall picking their cell phones up to him. I thought you said this nigga was dead. T Stuck right here.
You get in the car with Stuck, you can't sit behind him unless he know you. I mean, we going down to the State Theater one night, and my man with me, my man get in the car, he's like, no, homeboy, you gotta get over there. Matter of fact, man, go ride with my man over there. And I'm like, damn, Stuck, whatever's my man. He like, you my man, that's your man. You know what I'm saying? I was like, okay, that's real, you know what I'm saying? Like,
by the time Stucky is released from prison in 2001, his old associate E-Dub is seemingly next in line behind Eminem to hit the national hip-hop scene.
They would set up battles all over across the country. Basically, what Smack do with URL, Don't be a big ass hater. You look like a broke down, burned up Bob Marley impersonator. Believe me, dog, you will never fuck with me. Keep popping shit, you gonna catch 5 like 50. And I was just looking like, man, this music shit, this all right, man. Hoes, you know what I'm saying? So they gave me my own label deal at MCA in 2000. They gave me my own label, a real label deal. Like, and for me, this shit was a way to help me and niggas I fuck with, like Stuck, like different niggas, to where a nigga don't even gotta never look at nothing illegal again. So we sit down and chop this music, bruh. You can do this management thing with me.
Remix, it had to go down. I got something else to tell you about the new Motown.
That Welcome to Atlanta shit, you know, Atlanta was a new Motown. I had a huge problem with that, cause I'm like, the one thing we got you gonna take away from us, even if it's just history, you can't never be Motown. You know what I'm saying? Ever, nigga. Like,
You get clapped and pavement, I'm rapping flagrant. Motown, earn that rep. You gon' make a couple hits and try to burn that rep. Keep producing for little kids, you ain't earned that yet. We the history of black music, you ain't learned that yet.
So I dropped the record. The shit go crazy on the radio up here, crazy. Shit starts spreading.
Man, Atlanta ain't nothing but Detroit. You know what I mean? They know what it is. That's why E-Dub made that song called I Know. You know what I mean? They begged him to take that song off the radio. If that was me, I'd have never took that song off the radio.
Get a call, the nigga Stuck like, I'm down here shooting basketball at the nigga house and shit. And he asked Moan, did he know this nigga E-Dub from Detroit? You know, cause this nigga, he's like, yeah, that's Stuck, little bro. So Stuck made some calls, and that's here nor there.
I mean, I kind of sparked that, you know what I'm saying? Jermaine Dupri ain't my friend, so to speak. You know, I know him, but he really like Slam friend and Big Beach friend. And, you know, yeah, we squashed that.
Oh yeah, they were doing a bunch of shit with Jermaine Dupri, all the industry motherfuckers that's in Atlanta that was doing things big back then. Stuck was involved in that. You know what I'm saying? That's why he was in Atlanta.
Out of prison and flush with cash from his lawsuit against the police, Stucky felt untouchable and was ready to rebuild Motor City Records.
I kind of like was taunting the police, man. You know, they'll follow me. I'll turn around and follow them. You know, that arrogant Detroit type of thing. But, you know, I wasn't doing nothing at that time. I wasn't doing nothing but concentrating on music. I can't sit and tell you I never sold drugs before. I done sold drugs before, but I had cut that out. You know what I'm saying? I had a new path that I was trying to do, and with the music, man. You know what I mean? And everybody know that.
Stucky was never a low-key guy. You know, so me knowing if he was hot back then or did it seem like he was hot, we knew people was following him. You know, it was they picked him up, put him in the car, playing his CD. So Stuck comes over to my house. We sitting in the crib. Stuck pull up. He said, man, it's a gang of people on your block. What you doing over here? So at that point, that's when I knew for sure that they were watching him. Cause he like, they got newspapers on your block, man. They up and down your street, K. So I kind of, you know, put 2 and 2 together after he left me. And the white was like, didn't you just tell him what the address was on the phone? So we knew at that point they were tapping his phone. You know, they knew where he was at.
And you have people probably in the street who are giving his name for various things. So certainly he's on their radar, both locally and federally.
At this point, he gets out of jail or whatever for that. He comes straight to the studio. Man, K, man. Seems like every time he got out of jail, he comes see me. Man, K, so he's kind of upset. 5 minutes, he shake it off. Come on, man, let's work. Let me hear a beat.
They come over and raid it. My father is alive at the time.
Show me your hands, now.
So he was like, you know, oh man, get on the ground. The niggas all on the side of the house, they come over all through this motherfucker. We looking for your son. Yeah, he involved with some very dangerous people. He involved, and my father like, no, you must got the wrong one. My son is a Christian. You know, my father old school, he the brother. Like, no, he like, my father called me like, hey son, you know the police are out there. They looking for your boy, Stucky. You know, he's a nice guy, the guy you brought over with the black Escalade. You got the burgundy one, he got the black one.
I was watching TV, I was watching WDIV, and they brought his picture on. My goodness, so it just confirmed some things in me that maybe that's the feeling I had, that he's out there like that, man. Then they start going into detail about gang activity and leaders of this and that. I was like, man, I could not believe this.
The call I get, and they said my last name, nigga don't know what they don't need to know. And I'm like, yeah, how can I help you? I'm like, well, we're out front. When I come talk to you, the phone hang up, you knock on my door. I'm like, man, well, shit, I have my lawyer call y'all. They say, hey, like, all right, that's cool. Go down if you want.
So they come over, they talk to me, two of the agents. You know, one stand at the door, one sit next to me, ask me about some music and numbers, the group that I had. And I was like, yeah, this, that, another, whatever. And they just slid a subpoena out, like, hey, we want to see you in court tomorrow. I said, damn.
After being arrested in suburban Atlanta, Stucky eventually faced trial in 2004. At first, the prosecution sought the death penalty for the murder of Rico Darbins. Then, Stucky's attorney from the 1997 case was accused of accepting $50,000 in cash from Stucky.
Where someone had indicated that they saw Mr. Stucky giving me some money. And I went to the judge and I said, look, Judge, this is the deal. They've just given me a 302 saying that this occurred, and I know for a fact that this didn't happen. I have to recuse myself. And that's what happened.
The government went to the judge and said that Mr. Stucky had taken out a hit on the mother of the government star witness. And as a result, Mr. Stucky was precluded from hearing or seeing any evidentiary material so that he could assist his counsel in preparing for trial.
And at one point in time, the case was a potential death penalty case, and ended up with various allegations of conspiracy, drug distribution, and intentional killing, which was the most serious of the counts. Rico Darbins was a former DPD officer who no longer worked for DPD, who had been indicted in federal court for various other violations unrelated to Thelma Stucky. And the government's position or theory was that Mr. Stucky killed him to keep him quiet.
The dude was allegedly being charged with trying to kill a government foreman in his case. So what would make me think a dude like that, stand-up dude like that, is going to say anything about me, true or untrue?
Well, the government alleged that T was the driver for Darbins when Darbins tried to kill the other guy at the record store or barbershop in the unrelated case.
My nigga Kilo just came home from the fair joint. My nigga Kilo from the hood, he in and out of jail all the time, you know what I'm saying, real nigga. He say, listen, bruh, he locked up with this nigga named Steve Felder. Man, the nigga told me he finna make up a story about this nigga named T. Stucky. Kilo, like I take a polygraph, nigga, this real shit. We sit, we bunkies. The nigga tell me the whole story, how he finna set this nigga named T. Stucky up on this murder.
Steve Felder is probably one of the most offensive situations I've ever seen in a prosecution. Steve Felder is a confessed admitted killer who the FBI swung a deal with in order for him to testify against Thelma Stucky. And for them to cut a deal with somebody who admits to being a murderer and let him walk the streets is kind of offensive, and it tells you how bad they wanted Thelma Stucky. Here's the backdrop on Steve Felder. I represented another gentleman some years ago. At one point in time, Anthony Gates was charged with murder. First-degree murder for killing a young man and leaving him in the trunk of a car, duct tape, rolled up, etc. We tried the case. The case went on for about 3 weeks. He was found not guilty, finally, of all charges. Fast forward, the Stucky case. It turned out that their main witness, Steve Felder, against Thelma Stucky, actually did the murder that they had previously charged Anthony Gates with an alleged confession.
Man, it's a bunch of bull, man. You know, they got one dude, he done committed a crime the same way this crime was committed, and then withheld that all the way until it was time for them to take me to trial. I said, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you about this other murder I committed. Wow, ain't that something? But he done wheeled them in now, so they stuck with that. They done spend all this time and resources to get me.
So Felder comes forward and acknowledges to them during the course of our trial at the last minute, oh, I forgot to tell you, I killed somebody, and I killed him the same way that they claim Stucky killed Rico Darbins. And I left him the same way, rolled up in a trunk, and Felder's the only alleged eyewitness. Presents a problem for the government.
While Stucky was awaiting his trial, another major indictment for drug conspiracy involving people from Puritan Ave came down from the feds.
The lawyer, as soon as I go to the lawyer, start showing me all these pictures. The PA had a picnic and shit. He like, this you? This you? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, these are all pictures that the feds took. They had cameras in the trees. And nigga, I'm seeing pictures of myself from a downward view from trees. I'm like, man, what the fuck is this shit?
He was supposed to be the leader of the Puritan Avenue gang. That was what the government, what I read in the discovery. He and Mr. Dancy were supposed to be the leaders. And so the government felt that they could just put a swipe or crush a lot of gang activity in Detroit if they got Stucky off the street.
I've done several cases, including the Chambers Brothers case. This case, from an evidentiary standpoint, in my opinion, had less evidence than most by far. Because really all they were relying on was the testimony of informants.
I ain't even got to get to his name. This whole ass nigga said he was serving, giving Stuck kilos from 1988 to 1992. The funny part about that is the nigga Stuck was locked up in Jackson. That whole time he said he was giving him the shit.
And they testified about events that had taken place many, many years prior to the date of the trial.
50 kilos a month. How's a nigga selling shit and he in Jackson prison?
And of course the government got that in because they contended that the conspiracy continued up until trial.
And at some point in time it became clear that the government's case was having trouble. In my opinion, we had beat probably the murder case, and we were on a very good roll on the narcotics case, and very well may have been in a position with that.
When I went to court for Stuck, I brought $700,000 worth of paycheck stubs from Universal, which own MCA Records. I gave Stuck a lot of money from the management because I made a lot of money in the music business. I gave dude a lot of legitimate money because he was my manager.
Just as it started to look like Stucky would beat yet another case, the government introduced a shocking new piece of evidence: rap lyrics found in Stucky's car when he was arrested.
That I helped prepare the motion to suppress. Now the judge denied the motion. I think that was improper. Evidence was seized during that search, including music lyrics.
The prosecution's position was that the lyrics mirrored how the murder of Darbins occurred and how the body was found. And that may have been a hint of their lack of strong evidence, or at least corroborating evidence. They were trying to get something to corroborate anything that these informants said.
There was no physical evidence tying Stucky to the scene, such as DNA, blood, nothing whatsoever. So the music, which talked about killing snitches, obviously was very hurtful to T during the trial.
Well, the problem with this case, or with Stucky's in particular, is while you've got the lyrics on the CD, that doesn't mean that he wrote them. You got to ask who wrote the lyrics, why they were written, and who performed them.
The nigga Stuck didn't write 80% of his lyrics. You understand? He would write it and niggas would change it around and change shit. So even the shit he write would get changed. Boom, pin this joint. This my ideas, this what I'm thinking. AK, write this song. This my ideas, this what I'm thinking. This the beat. AK doing the beat, writing the song, the whole nine.
And one of the probably most memorable moments was when the prosecutor, Mr. Buckley, was questioning one of them and basically inferring that he couldn't rap, he couldn't write music or do other things. And he asked him, well, since you are such a writer and a rapper and you're so creative, why don't you give us something? So he did give him something. He, unquote, I'm standing with my man Buckley and he's trying to fuck me. And the entire jury laughed, so did the judge, and at the conclusion I believe the judge's comments were, I assume you have no more questions for this witness, because it was clear that if nothing else, Stucky had a label, he had artists, and he had talent.
You know, my lawyer's hands was tied, man. I had to defend myself, you know what I mean, because the judge wouldn't allow my lawyers to defend myself. They wouldn't allow Jerome Barney to be my lawyer, and the witness said that he witnessed me give Jerome Barney money, so Jerome Barney had to recuse himself from the case.
I felt like we were definitely winning the trial, and I believe that the testimony of Mr. Stucky was very damaging.
When you put a client on the stand and the jury doesn't like the personality, well, the jury will convict.
I mean, you know, that's just that is what it is. But, I was going to take the stand anyway, so we'll leave it like that.
Actually, when he got up to testify, I overheard a couple jurors saying, oh shit, he's going to testify. I got some questions for him. Once he did make that decision to testify and testified, various other evidence came in that otherwise had not been presented to the jury.
Yeah, they did that, man. Like I say, that's part of the past catching up with you. I was young and different things that I got involved in, God blessed me to get out of those situations, I never had to say, hey, I didn't do this person did that. It's always the evidence spoke for itself. But then they want to come back and say, that evidence ain't nothing. You still did it.
And he wouldn't mind me saying it. He does have an ego. I think he would admit that. And I think that played a role with respect to him taking the stand and the jury. That's one thing I would not have wanted the jury to see was T's ego.
I remember the jury not being out very long, which was rather disappointing.
In 2004, T. Stucky was found guilty and sentenced to life in federal prison for murder and drug conspiracy. Back in Detroit, many people think he got a raw deal.
I do think they had a special interest in Stucky because he had won a lawsuit, because he'd been shot, because he had challenged authority.
That murder shit was just some shit to get him off the streets. See, when you too powerful out here, you got too much money, man, they do anything to take you out, baby. And they know you ain't no rat and you a real nigga. You know what I'm saying? That's what they had to do.
Despite a life sentence, Stucky keeps close connections with friends and family, including his many kids, one of whom is following in his musical footsteps.
I was in Atlanta for a while. I came back to the D, started school again. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, I got to get in the studio. I got to. I just feel it. And she's like, all right, well, I'm going to call AK.
T at this point, he's older now. Last time I seen him, he was like 3 years old. So he's 12 or something like this. And he wanted to work. He wanted to work on his music that bad. And I seen his dad all over again, going for what he know. Wanted to be in the music that bad, the way he found me.
We go straight in the studio from then on. We was rocking. We was getting it in good for about 4, 5, 6 years straight.
Me and Square Business, my partner, we're writing records for him. We're doing the music. We're coaching him, and he's picking up. You know what I mean, like that. And we got a lot of success. He was opening up for Soulja Boy later on down the line.
I came out with plenty of albums. Playground Legend, I'm Cocky, did the video for that. Shot that to the streets. That was on fire for a minute.
And a Gucci duffel bag for the chill clothes. Lunchtime, make it rain for the kinfolks. Give away them dollars, man, we'll spend those.
That's what they say when they see me at a show. I'm cocky, cause I walk with swag, got game in on my flow.
You know what I'm saying? So my mom was always like, school first. So she was on me. So I'm in the basement rapping about, you know what I'm saying, shooting dice, I want money, gym shoes, cars, clothes. If I gotta sell drugs to do it, then that's what I'm gonna do. Mom's like, nah, man, you can't do like that. You're a little boy, you're a little kid. You gotta take a different approach to the game.
Yeah, he remind me of me. He got a lot of drive. He's a little better looking than me. But he can really go somewhere, right? He get his mind straight. And I appreciate AK guiding his career.
Oh, I'm at Central State University in Wilberforce, Ohio, HBCU.
This is a guy I came up with. We live together. We go in and out of town together. We get money together. And then you talking about you gonna take something from me? Take it to the grave. I blew his head off in the back of my mother's car. The bullet went through his brain and came out the back of his head, man. He was like, oh, so you write books? So he was like, let me read one of your books. After he read that book, he said, let me read another one. The first person he said he thought about was his cousin Terry. He said, man, this is my cousin's life. He said, before we get started, what I want you to do is this article right here. He held up the newspaper article. Terry Stucky like this on the cover. 3 cards. He said, man, write about something on that article, man. Because if you can write off top of the head like that, he could really use you. So I said, cool. I'll write an article. I sent it to Terry. Terry wrote me. He was like, man, I'm in a hole right now. Send me 60 more pages of your short story. It was guys walking up to me saying, dawg, you spitting Terry's name out your mouth? They'd call home and ask their people, hey, when you talk to Terry, ask this nigga up in here talking about he writing a book about Terry. This nigga ain't talking real. We finna do something to this nigga. I done had niggas call me like, dog, you spitting this nigga name out your mouth, man, we gonna kill your ass, man, flat out, and hung up the phone. They called my phone in prison.
One of the biggest part of our business here is shipping books and mags to the federal facilities. It's the only way that a lot of brothers behind the wall and people on the outside keep in touch with the brothers behind the walls. Every week, this brother will come in here to purchase these magazines, and I will be shipping it to this brother named T. Stucky and the USP Polak. Then I start having females come in here, purchasing mags and books to ship out to the same brother called T. Stucky. They have the Mercedes-Benz keys, the Porsche keys. So you're like, God damn, man.
The reality is he can do whatever he put his mind to. Even from prison is something I'm learning.
This is Bloody Polak. T. Stuck's first book, fresh out of the joint. He wrote this. He got a lot of them coming.
And which is crazy right now is a book that he wrote, Bloody Polak, that I'm out of right now. Usually we have like 2 cases of them, and they've been selling real fast.
You know, the prison is what it is, man. I mean, I ain't got no hard time. You know, you're gonna be a man first. But it's a lot of violence that go on, man. Senseless violence, man. It's every day. Everybody frustrated, man. You know, for real, mentally, we all messed up in the head. 23 hours a day, 1 hour out, you know what I'm saying, the shower every other day, you know. That takes an effect on any human being.
T. Stucky and his lawyers still maintain that he has strong grounds to reverse his convictions based on prosecutorial misconduct and other issues. Back in Detroit, his friends and family continue to support him and wonder what could have been for Motor City Records.
That's the real deal. Suck ass niggas. You really niggas who taking care of Detroit people. Detroit niggas who spending money in Detroit clubs. Not none of that whole shit. Welcome to Detroit for real, nigga.
It's people out here that say they doing it, talk about doing it, but in real life, dude did it, you know what I'm saying? He's still touching people and people still touching him, you know what I'm saying? It's all love over here, yay.
Like I said, he wasn't a bad person to me at all. He was always a sweet guy to me, man.
They took him away from us because they wanted to torture us. You know what I mean? They didn't want us to eat. They know these niggas can think.
Stucky. I love him with a vengeance. You understand? He did what he did. You know, he is who he is.
I'm a product of Stuck. I'm still pushing. I learned a few things from him, you know what I mean? I got my project coming to preview, and after that is The Last Man Standing.
The boy took his label serious, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it was big plans. If Stuck was not locked up, believe me, all the dreams that we are still trying to make happen would have already happened.
I think reputation and perception is better than reality. And so you have to be careful of your reputation and the perception that people have of you.
I can't get over. No matter how I try, can't get over. No. Welcome to the ghetto. Welcome to the ghetto where you trying to get out and the man says no hello.
Y'all remember that, boy? Dang, say he had some stuff on him, boy.
They can look at me and say, wow, man, this is what he went through. Is that what I want to go through? You know, if you got kids, you missing your kids, you affecting their lives, you know. I've been blessed, man, to have some smart kids, man. I got 11 kids. The first 4, all of them in college. One of them graduated from college. Man, go to school, man. Get an education. I mean, take whatever you want to take and do with it. Sometimes I tell moms, man, I know I was a letdown, but you know, it is what it is, Mom Dukes. I love you. And I ain't glorifying nothing. You know, this is like the end result. Things I go through, man, it's like the end result, man. You got other options. Speaking to the youth, they got other options out there other than, you know what I'm saying, being in the streets. I love my city. Detroit, everything. Detroit, everything.
Damn, man, I hate coming out here, man. Yeah, but you know, it's routine. You know, gotta come see you. But damn, remember how we used to talk about that one thing? Yeah, I think I got one for us like we always talked about. Man, I'm gonna hit the boys up, man. We're gonna go do what we gotta do, man. Guess we're gonna set us right for a minute. Yeah, we gonna be good. The whole clique gonna be balling off of this one. Shit, I wish you was here, man.
Got my whole clique ballin' like I'm a fool to the man in blue, come with the papers. Got my whole clique ballin' like STL. I'm a fool to the man in blue, come with the papers. When I'm cooking up dope, call me Chef Cocaine. Sweating over stones, stirring yo, blowing on the flame.
Friends and really friends, just some cool ass niggas. If Blade was here, he'd be bigger and a whole lot richer. Tell Hova what up, and I ain't talking about Jigga, nigga. Came back with them PA boys, know we sprayed them toys. You know it's us by the